All right, what's up, guys? I'm here with Christine Hand.
Hey.
I just want to say thank you for sitting down and doing it with me right before y'all leave. They're about to move across the world, so why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Across the world. We're leaving in about 5 days on next Wednesday, and we are going to be moving to Kurdistan, which is kind of an interesting place because it doesn't really exist. It's not a real country. It's more like an idea. It's a part of northern Iraq that belongs to the Kurds, but their land was kind of lost due to wars and genocide. So officially it's northern Iraq, but we'll be living among the people group of the Kurds.
Just tell us a little bit about what are the Kurds people like? Do you know much about them, or?
I'm still getting to know a lot about them. We've consumed a lot of books. There's a lot of podcasts. I think the most notable thing is that they are survivors. They're a very old people group dated back to the Medes, if you know that word from the Bible. They were a group of nomads that originally we think, had been a nomadic tribe from Mongolia down through Europe, across the Middle East, but they're really survivors. And in our most recent history, Saddam Hussein is the one who tried to wipe them out. And so they kind of have a special relationship with Americans because Americans, of course, came in. We found, captured, and killed Saddam Hussein. And then back in 2015, I believe, was when ISIS was pushing back into their region, and we came again. And we were able to protect them from ISIS. And so they have a warmth in their heart for Americans, which is just, I think more people need to know that. It actually makes me very emotional to think about the brotherhood, the sisterhood that we have with people around the world because we have lent a hand, or they have lent a hand to us. And so people get a little bit scared when they know that you're moving to the Middle East, but we are moving amongst people that are friends, truly.
That'll be fun. So why are you going there, of all places, I guess?
Okay, so I think there's so many reasons. My favorite thing is to rage bait people and be like, why not? Like, why? Life is so short. Yeah. There's so much to see. Once you have left your home country and started to see other countries, there's a part of you that is like, I have to see what else is out there. Like, what else are they keeping from me, right? Mm-hmm. There's the curiosity, the wanderlust, if you call it. I am the daughter of an immigrant. My dad is first generation born in the States. His parents immigrated from Norway and Sweden. And so at a young age, I went to meet my family in Norway. And then I've heard all about my dad's travels. He's such is troubadour the right word? Like, he's been all over. The man rode his motorcycle from Central America down to Chile and stopped at every country on the way. I mean, he's got a really cool story. So part of me, I was just always destined to see the world because I get that from my dad. But I love languages. I really enjoyed learning Mandarin when we lived in China. So I have an opportunity to teach English as a second language and now to learn Kurdish. I actually wrote a language learning curriculum that I have not really trialed out yet on myself. So I'm going to try it, see if it works, scrap it if it's no good, but then monetize it if it is a good program. So Scott is actually the real reason that we're moving. I'm just like listing all the perks of why I'm excited about going, but Scott took a job as a pastor in an international church in northern Iraq. So there's a lot of people from around the world that live in northern Iraq, and the Christians have found each other and they started a church together. And so they've needed a long-term pastor for a long time. And when Scott heard about it, he was like, Christine, what do you think about this?
He was like, yo, dude, we have to.
And I was like, whoa. Actually, I got to tell you, my first reaction was like, oh, I don't want to live in a Muslim context. I did not know many Muslims, haven't made Muslim friends. What I know is what the world has told me, what the media has told me, which can be kind of a scary thing. But then also, when Scott and I first married and we set out, we knew that we wanted to be in ministry because we're Christians, and we can use our professional skills in a professional situation, and then as we are going, share the love of Christ as we go. But I was like, Lord, I'll go anywhere. I just don't want to live in a Muslim country.
Just don't want to go there.
But then I was like, I also really don't want to be a pastor's wife. So here's the hilarious bit is that I'm going to be a pastor's wife in a Muslim context. So be careful what you tell the Lord, because he'll be like, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we're going. It's his job.
So I guess you finally came around to the idea. What about your kids? What did they think at first? Were they super excited or?
Yes. Actually, I have a really cute story about this. So our kids were all born in another country. We've got the United Nations going on. 2 of our kids were born in Thailand. They're my biological children. And then my son, adopted from China, was born in China, and our daughter, adopted from Bulgaria, was born in Bulgaria. And their earliest experience was overseas, because when they were either born or adopted, we were living in China at the time. We later moved to Taiwan. So Joelle was in like preschool, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade overseas. Her earliest experiences were in another country. And the other ones, they were younger. They're 4 years younger than her, but they remember the big city. They especially remember the subways and the skyscrapers, because China is so big. Taipei is such a huge city with skyscrapers. So they have always kind of wanted to be the big city kids. We live on a farm right now, and when I told them, like, hey guys, we're thinking about going back overseas, so they were like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And I was like, you know, that means that we would be giving up the farm, right? And they were like, Mom, that was your dream. Because they have farm chores, and they're not feeling it. Feeding the pigs was
not their
that
thing.
will forever be Joelle's most hated memory. So we've tried to go back overseas many times. We've been in America for the last 9 years, and the door opened to go to France at one time, and to London, and to Kazakhstan, and a couple of other places. Most recently, we really thought we were going to take a job offer in Dubai. That fell through. And each time the kids would like research the city that was potentially going to be our new home, and they would get so excited.
Yeah.
And so when this final opportunity in northern Iraq came about, I held it close to the chest, because I didn't want them to go through the highs and then the low of it not working out. But one night I was on my computer. I thought that I was being sneaky and that they could not see what I was looking at. And I was trying to find out, like, what kind of orchard could I possibly grow in Iraq? Like, what trees grow there? Oh, there's a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. And Joelle saw me on my computer, and she was like, what country is that, Mom? But she knew immediately that something was up. What are you looking at? And I was like, nothing. And she was like, guys, they're hiding something from us. So all the kids come swarming in, and they're like, tell us, Mom. It's okay, you can tell us. Does Dad have a job offer somewhere? And I was like, maybe. So I spilled the beans, told them all about it, and then we spent the night looking up stuff. Scott was at a meeting at the time. And when we heard the garage door opening, we knew that Daddy was home. And Joelle's like, guys, I have the funniest idea. So she grabs her siblings. They each grab a carry-on suitcase and an airplane pillow and put their over-the-ear headphones on. And they meet Scott at the door with the biggest grins. And they're like, Mom spilled the beans. We're ready to go. And immediately they were just excited about Iraq, of all places. So they're on board. Of course, they are grieving their friends. It's not all rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah.
There's been some hard moments, especially saying goodbye to some of the animals that they loved, the horses, and our
pigs,
dogs,
of course,
and the
favorites.
pigs. Yeah, Joelle cried about the pigs for a long time. She's actually really glad we're living in a Muslim country, because there's no pork. There's no chance she will ever have to feed a pig again.
That's good.
While we live over there.
I want to ask you this, because once you and Scott finally decided it's a good idea, your kids are on board, I'm sure y'all done a lot of praying and considering it. Is it hard when people, maybe sometimes on Facebook or in person, like, oh, are you sure you want to go there? Like, that place isn't safe. And almost putting all these second guessing thoughts in your head when you're deciding on going, like, is that hard or?
Yeah, something very interesting happens when those conversations come about. First of all, I'm not offended by anybody's desire for us to stay safe.
Right.
Like, I have one girlfriend, and she said, I'm just going to eventually grab you by the knees and not let you go, because she is truly concerned. Her concern is it's coming from a very loving place. And so I accept that, and I would love to vlog our journey while we're there, to show her what I think that we've been lied to about. Now, I'm never going to convince anybody that we're going to be safe in the Middle East. But I do think that the fear of the unknown is something that we need to conquer. Like there's things I'm scared of because I've never been there before. I never thought I would have felt so safe in China, in a communist country, but that's the safest I've ever felt raising my kids. And so part of my reaction to that is they just love me. They care about me. That's okay. Part of my reaction is it's a little bit like I'm so strong-headed, and it almost invigorates me even more. It doesn't make me second guess it. It makes me be even more excited to try it. I might have a small authority problem now that I think about it. But I think to answer that question a little bit more fully is it depends on where their heart is coming from, because there are some people that don't want us to move there. And the real answer is because they are so strongly American that they actually hate other cultures, and they don't want us to go and live amongst the people that are different from us. And when you peel back the layers of that person, you actually find out that they have some deeply embedded racism, not just against Muslims or people that live in these other contexts, but anybody that's not white. And so there's something deeper going on, and that's a them problem. That's between them and the Lord. And that gets to me a little bit, but I hope that by us going and bringing people along, like through our videos and our travel experiences, that we can show them that no matter who we're going to, no matter if they're white, brown, black, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, that they are made in the image of God, and that they are our neighbors. Whether they like it or not, they're our neighbors. So I hope that answers the question.
No, it does. I mean, that even kind of makes me think on the more like psychological side of like, you have a friend who's really concerned about you doing something. You're set on doing it. Obviously, you've put in the thought about it, and you're like, you know, it's almost like, hey, I've thought about this. Obviously, then why would you want to put these thoughts in my head? Like, I think I've got it. Like, obviously, you love the concern that people have, but you know, why would you?
Yeah.
Like, if it was me, you wouldn't want to put a bunch of second-guessing thoughts in my head out of love. So, but anyway, you talked about being in China, so tell me a little bit about that, or what that was like, I guess. Because we have some neighbors from Laos, so obviously I know they're not Chinese, but
similar part of the world.
Yeah, similar cultures. They bring us food and stuff all the time. And
oh, I bet that's good. China was the privilege of a lifetime. I might get emotional talking about it. We kind of moved there thinking that we would never leave. And especially after we conquered language and culture shock, you know, the rise and fall of culture shock, and then everything just became normal. Everything was just the way that it was. We had no reason to leave, and so leaving was devastating, and it wasn't planned. The only reason we left is because I got sick. I have it's like Crohn's disease, and we had so many small children at the time. I needed some more support. My mother-in-law is here, and she's local, so having family and getting some really good medical care, that's why we left. But it's funny because what you think or you've heard about China is true somewhere in China. So not everything that you may have experienced in Beijing is going to be what we experienced, because we were in a remote part of Western China. Still a really, really big city. It was a concrete jungle, but very different from the westernized east coast of China. Learning language, the start of it was the hardest thing I've ever done. Academically, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And then something just clicked, and I became proficient. And my favorite thing would be when I would talk to somebody on the phone for a while, and then when they realized I was American, they were like, I had no idea you were an American because you have no accent. I did have an accent, which is kind of a funny thing, but not an American accent. One time when we were in Beijing, we were going to see the Great Wall. We get in a taxi, and the cab driver's like, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, we're from America. And he was like, no. Where in China are you from? Because you don't sound like you learned Chinese here in Beijing. And I was like, no, I learned it in Chongqing. And there's a heavy accent in Chongqing. And he's like, I could tell, you Westerners.
Do you remember any of it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've lost a lot of vocabulary because when you don't use it, you can't, your brain stops spending expensive storage space on it. But yeah,
say something to us.
Oh, okay.
Just tell us about today, I guess.
今天我醒过来的时候，我喝了咖啡，我看了什么？就看手机 ，TikTok，然后有一个开会。然后就擦干净，我所有的家是很 Oh, how do you say dirty? My house is dirty. I was trying to say I was cleaning my house.
That's pretty good. If I close my eyes, I probably wouldn't have guessed you were white. That's pretty good.
But yeah, China was great. It's so funny. You don't feel the communism. What China really is like is not what you would assume, like what you gather from its government. Like government and people, and I hope that people know this about Americans too, what you see represented in government isn't always what's in the people's heart. Like I would love for people to know that like we're hospitable and we have really good food. Americans, especially white people, like we have this reputation of being bland. We put hot sauce on everything. Like when you've got to get deeper than what the media.
Make it sound cool right here. Make it sound cool.
We are so cool. Our culture is fantastic. We had a hoedown out here. We had a whole string band.
Oh my gosh.
Like that's American culture. It's a beautiful thing.
That is white culture for sure.
It is. Like when we come down the driveway, if my neighbor sees that we've got lumber in the back of the truck, he joins us down here. He's like, all right, what are we doing today? That's a beautiful culture. So yeah, we're pretty cool. And the same thing is true of every country. You've got to peel the layers back and get to know them. So China was definitely the privilege of a lifetime, and I hope my experience in Kurdistan is just like that, really.
And when you say you couldn't feel like the communism, like was that almost in like a scary way of like you know they're watching every move, but you can't feel it?
Right. So a couple of times we were reminded that they know everything that we're doing. They know exactly where we are. And we were called in for questioning a few times with the PSB, and that can be nerve-wracking, but we were prepared. And we feel really strongly about when you live in another culture, being completely respectful of what the rules are. And so we were careful to build relationships that had some influence. So we made relationships with leaders of the university where we lived and worked, and let them know that we care deeply about staying in the country and not losing our visa because of something stupid we did.
Yeah.
That was one part of it. But we also just stayed out of trouble. We didn't do illegal or illicit things. There was a couple times that they asked, hey, we heard that this is going on. Was this you guys? And we're like, no. It wasn't us. It's illegal to distribute religious materials in China, and so we never handed out anything with any kind of Christian literature on it because it was illegal. But somebody came in the middle of the night, broke into the girls' dorm on the university, and passed out English tracts under every door. And this is a huge university. There was hundreds, maybe thousands of little flyers. And they were in English, which is just such a weird thing because it wasn't an English-speaking school at all. That was not. They were a business and a trade college, not an English learning college. And so.
And they just assumed it was y'all because you're American? Because
yes.
What I've learned about most countries, they just assumed all Americans are Christians.
Yes. And they were right to assume it. But when the PSB came and picked us up and took us to their office, first of all, you sit in a really nice office. There's mahogany chairs. They offer you tea, and they're like, hey, tell us about your family. Is everybody healthy? And I'm like, I know I'm in danger right now, but this is the most polite questioning I've ever had. And then they explained, we found all of these pamphlets, and we were actually the only Americans in the whole city, the only foreigners at all. And so it made a lot of sense. And I said, it wasn't us. Thankfully, we were with somebody who could vouch for our whereabouts at the time. And then I said, also, let me see this story. And it was the gospel. And I said, this is like a really important story to me.
And then you explained it to him?
I did.
Oh, cool.
Well, it went like this. I said, if I really wanted all of the students to read this, I would have put it in Chinese because I want them to understand it. Maybe 9% of the students there could have read that, and maybe 5% of those could have understood it. So I said, for a story as important as this, so close to my heart, I would have put this in Chinese. And they were like, well, what does it say? And I said, well, this is a short version. Can I tell you the whole story? And they were like, sure. So I said, let me go back to the beginning. So I started with creation and explained, you know, how God created us. And at the end of the story, I said, so what does this make you feel? And one of the guards, they're just sitting forward, kind of listening to the story. And he goes, it makes my heart shake. What a story. I've never heard this story before. And I was like, that's why if I was going to tell people this story, I would say the whole thing in Chinese. And they're like, okay, very cool. But you guys don't do any religious activity. And I was like, no. So it was a respectful conversation, and having the whole conversation in Mandarin, game changer. Because they were like, you took the time.
Well, they respect that too, right?
They do.
Yeah.
They feel honored that you would take the time to communicate with me in a language I could understand. So, yep.
Yeah. Dang, that's pretty cool. You get there getting questioned, and then they ask, well, what does it say? Well, I guess I have to tell you.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, you asked me.
You talked about adopting 2 kids. What led you to do that?
Okay. Another one of my favorite stories. We're covering all my favorite topics today. This is so much fun. And I'm a yapper, so this is not hard to fill the time. So I was actually adopted. I was 10 years old. Yeah.
I didn't want to just ask.
Yeah, no. And I'm open about it because it was just such a life-changing event. I was in foster care till I was 10, and I moved homes a lot. My brother and I were adopted together, and we just had a pretty traumatic childhood until we were removed from our biological family. And then because of some of our behaviors, we bounced around to a lot of foster homes. And some foster homes weren't prepared for our behavior. I liked to light fires. That was I also ran away. And so some families just aren't prepared for a brother and a sister that just needed so much emotional support. But we were adopted by a really lovely family. It was a very like Annie and Daddy Warbucks situation because we were adopted by a family that had plenty of money. And so immediately after adopting us, they put us into horseback riding lessons, music lessons, art lessons, took us all over the world. We went to Ukraine and London and Norway. And
So is that the dad that went on all these trips?
Yes.
Okay.
He's so cool. He's 80, 81, no, he's 80, and still plays competitive pickleball.
Wow.
He's incredibly healthy and still wants to see the whole world. So.
Now, do you know your biological parents?
I do, and it's a very bittersweet story. When I was 21, I get a phone call from my mom, and when I say mom, I mean the woman who adopted me and changed my life. And she goes, I talked to your brother today, and he said that your biological mom is on her way to meet you guys right now. And I didn't believe it. I was like, that's wild. Our records were sealed, not supposed to meet them. I really had not sought them out just because I found so much wholeness with the family that adopted me,
right.
In that family. And I was like, well, tell him to call me. I'm not sure what's going on here. And he called me. He was like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you. She's driving up from Florida, and I told him that they could stay at your house. And I was like, first of all, stay at my house. Yeah. Second of all, and he said, oh yeah, we have 2 sisters, and one of my sisters has 2 children. They're all gonna stay at your house because we had a little 3-bedroom at the time. Scott was still in seminary at the time. And I hung up and went and told my boss, I think I'm about to meet my biological family. And she was like, I think you should go home and get ready. Thank goodness we had 2 guest rooms. It was just me and Scott, no kids at the time. And what's interesting is I'm not sure why the body does this, but I don't remember that meeting with my mom. I remember the phone calls. And I have pictures that remind me that it happened. But in my brain, I cannot go into a memory and access seeing them get out of the car, come into the house, like
Dang,
none of it.
Crazy.
It's like the body just does this thing to protect you. Because I have some strong emotions about my childhood. I have memories from the times before I was removed by Child Protective Services. But I do remember one thing, and that was that we were having dinner, and she gets a phone call, and she goes, who is this? She answers the phone, and she looks at me and goes, it's your father, my biological father. He had heard through the grapevine of family members. And he was like, how could you not tell me that you were going to get to meet our kids? Is it 2 of our kids? We haven't seen them since they were 3 years old. And she said, what do you want me to tell him? And I said, well, tell him to come on. He was in Georgia at the time. So in a couple of days' time, he came. And I do remember every bit of this because it is just so...
Like you remember seeing your dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is so precious. He and his wife, he had been remarried. They had children together, and my half-sister get out of the car, and he's got 2 binders with him. And he introduces, says hello. And I had been told some things about this man during my time in foster care through therapists, some pretty horrible things. And I didn't really know how I wanted to go about this meeting because I thought I was about to confront and forgive an abuser. And after we had said hello, and it was just very polite and very reserved. It wasn't warm or giddy. It wasn't like what a movie would make it seem like I've been looking for you my whole life. It wasn't that at all. It felt like kind of a formality. And later he hands me the 2 binders. He said, this is the prosecution and this is the defense. I didn't come here to convince you of anything, but I want you to have the documents yourself. And he looked at me and he said, there is no cure for a pedophile. You can ask my children, my half-brother and half-sister that are a bit younger than me, what their childhood was like growing up in my home. And I want you to read for yourself. And I was just, he was so frank with it. And he addressed the elephant in the room, I guess you could say.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat. Because why waste time? We had 3 days together, and at that time, Scott and I were already destined to be moving to China in just a few short months. So that night, he and I pored over every document, and this beautiful, just terrible tragedy unfolded in front of me of a man who was falsely accused. And we have all the affidavits, everything is stamped, the court records of somebody else was the perpetrator, and it was blamed on him. And the next day we saw each other again, and I was just, tears streaming down my face. And of course now the reception is warm because in those binders was everything they did to get us back.
Wow.
The embarrassment that he put himself through to prove that he was not guilty. And then my stepmom, I guess you would call her, hands me another binder, and it was a birthday card for every birthday that they had missed. And she wrote inside every birthday card for me and my brother. So they never gave up looking for us. And this whole time I had always been wanted. And as a child that goes through the loss of parents, there's like a chasm so deep nothing can fill when you feel like you weren't good enough, you weren't wanted. But that definitely was a large boulder to fill in that aching chasm. I was always wanted, always pursued. So it was very healing, but at the same time so heartbreaking, because can you imagine losing your 3-year-old and never seeing them again until they're an adult and married? And then they learned that we were headed for China. And it was in that time that he said, I came here hoping to tell you the truth about what happened, but also to share the gospel with you. So to find out...
This is your dad?
Yeah. To find out that you already know God and you know forgiveness, because he said, I had to forgive the person that blamed me for this. I had to go through a major, think of my sins and all the things I have sinned against the Lord. And he said, I used to carry that in the exact same, the same weightiness as the person who ruined my life and made me lose my children. I had to forgive that person. And actually it was multiple people. It didn't just take one person for that tragedy to happen, to lose your children. It was multiple judges and caseworkers and the person who filed the original claim. He said, I used to see myself the same as Jesus, we were both done so wrong. But we know that that's not true. That God had to really soften his heart and enable him to forgive the people that just so terribly, mistreated him is not even a big enough word. It was a tragedy for sure. So it was so precious to know that I had a father who had been looking for me the whole time and who also loves Jesus.
Yeah, how much sweeter that is. You meet your biological father after like 18 years.
Yeah.
And now he's a brother in Christ
Yeah.
too, so that's pretty cool.
It's very sweet. They actually moved to northern China a couple years after we got there.
Really?
And they said, well, we always kind of thought that we would go see the world. And they actually both have their teaching degrees, and so they were able to teach at a university in northern China. And when my biological children were born, they came to be with me and spend time with me. And it was just like,
dang, that's awesome.
I mean, it sounds made up. The whole thing sounds made up.
Yeah, you've got a crazy life.
Yeah, it's been crazy. But I think part of that is when I was 16, my mom, my adoptive mom, let me read my case files from my childhood, and that was weighty. I had always wanted to read, like, what happened to me? What was foster care? Why am I so messed up? That's what, I mean, I was in therapy. I love therapy. Get a therapist if you've been through what I've been through, because it really helped. But I had really been curious about my case files, and she was like, Christine, this stuff in here is going to mess you up. There's a reason that your body forgets it. But when I was 16, she finally conceded. And one of the earliest intakes I had from a psychiatrist was, she has seen more tragedy than the human mind can comprehend. She will never be normal. And that was my psychological evaluation when I was about 5 years old. And so I was like offended at that, because I really wasn't normal in high school. there was some stuff going on.
You normal now?
Nope. And I think I kind of owned it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna speak multiple languages. I'm gonna have multiple careers. I'm never gonna be normal. I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna show her. So I think that's when my authority problems started. But God has used all of it in just the most miraculous ways.
So I'm assuming probably a lot of that kind of led for you to do the same for Judd and
Eliza.
Yeah.
Once you peel back that curtain, and you know what you know about children who just need a soft place to land, and the tragedies that children live through, you can't unknow it. And I think the Holy Spirit in us doesn't let us rest until we are truly part of the healing process. And that can look different for a lot of people. We did not foster children. That wasn't something that was available to us or something that was put on my heart, but adoption really was, because it changed the trajectory of my whole life. So how can you not? I think once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I knew that what a great gift I had been given, and knowing and understanding so much about what a child from a traumatic background would go through. And I've always wanted a lot of kids. I thought I wanted 7 kids at once. 4 is enough. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So their story will not be quite the same as mine, but there's going to be hard things and beautiful things in their own way.
That's good. This is kind of way off topic, but I just want to say you did a great job of losing a lot of weight.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
So maybe I wanted to ask you how you did that, because it's almost like, was it like 40%, or last time I checked, I thought it was, maybe almost 50% of Americans are obese.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people struggle with that. I used to be, I guess, overweight when I was younger. It could have just been growing up, but I got in the gym and it helped me a lot. Or
yeah.
What did you do? Because you did it like in a pretty good, you did it like kind of fast, or?
I want to say about a year.
Like, how do you do it where you lose the weight but not put it back on?
Keep it off. I'm going to tell you. Life is hard.
Yeah.
Just life is hard. Being fat is so much, everything is harder. Emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, the physicality of it.
Physically having to carry more weight?
Yes.
And
it
emotionally?
affects you in every way, and it had never been heavy. I got sick, and when...
Is that when y'all came home?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got sick in, it was 2016, I want to say. And before I got sick, I was extremely healthy. I was a horseback rider, rock climber, long distance rollerblader. Anything.
Rollerblader?
Yeah, gosh, I love rollerblading. I can't do it anymore. I fall down too much. But I was always really active, and when we were in China, I ran every day, and I ran 5K on Fridays. Just being healthy was very, very important to me. And then when I got sick, I couldn't run anymore, and I had no idea the psychological reaction to losing that dopamine every day, what it was going to do. And I didn't replace running with anything. I should have. I really should have. Even if it was just, weight resistance or walking. I could have walked. But I was in the depths of despair because I had lost my identity as a healthy runner. Being overseas, I was now back in America. We had just gone through 2 adoptions in the same year. We did not plan that. God just has a sense of humor. And everything happened all at once. And I turned to food as a comfort. And I no longer had all the dopamine and serotonin I was getting from running and exercising. And so I did not realize that binge eating disorder was a thing. And I don't often talk about that because it's so deeply shameful, but I'm compelled to talk about that because I think that might be at the heart of what a lot of Americans are going through. If you are not, staying healthy in mind, body, and spirit, you're going to get joy and satisfaction from somewhere. I'm so grateful it wasn't alcohol. I'm glad it wasn't drugs. And honestly, there's not a lot in that area that really interests me, but I love food. I've always loved food. So that's kind of the backstory. And I did not know what I was doing until a friend of mine shared her binge eating journey publicly. And I was like, oh, I do the same things.
You didn't even realize you were really doing it.
Didn't even realize it. I just thought, I knew I was overeating for sure, but I did not realize that what I was doing was an addiction. It was like a drug, right? Oh, I'm sad. Gotta get some Chick-fil-A frosted coffee. Those are my weakness. And so I went to a friend who has a weight loss clinic. It's Carolina's Weight Loss Clinic.
It's over in Gastonia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She is a wonderful, godly woman who has it's like a no-nonsense, very scientific approach to food. And her approach, it's Dr. Lydia Atkins, is, and this is not an ad, but I will talk about this until the day I die. Food is it can heal you or it can hurt you. And so we used food to recalibrate everything. My adrenals were circling the drain. I was in full-blown adrenal failure.
What is that?
Or adrenal fatigue. Your adrenals sit just above your kidneys and they regulate a lot of your hormones, especially cortisol. So my cortisol was through the roof. That's your stress hormone. And so if you're stressed and you're not able to emotionally regulate yourself, your cortisol is going to stay high. When you're in a high stress situation, your body's going to hold on to nutrients, fat, and calories and not let you burn it very easily because you're in fight or flight mode. And I guess our body is like, this might be the apocalypse and we might need to store all of our energy for winter. So you've got to get out of the cortisol, the high cortisol, and then hormonally I was just all over the place. And so we did not use any type of medicine to regulate that. We used nutrition. God knew what he was doing when he made sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes have healed my body in so many ways. Sweet potatoes, blueberries, clean proteins, all kinds of things. And so the first 4 or 5 times I went through the program, I epically failed. I would lose 25 pounds and then gain 30 back. And I did not realize at the time when I was starting this that I had binge eating disorder. It was when I saw another friend go through it and I was like, I need help. So I went to therapy. I had some really great tools in my tool basket. One thing I didn't realize was that when I started to deprive myself and eat in a calorie deficit, I was accidentally reverting my brain back to a time in foster care where I lived in constant hunger. And I don't remember the constant hunger. I talked to my mom and I was like, Mom, my therapist thinks that I may have suffered with food insecurity during foster care. I don't ever remember that. And she was like, oh, Christine, when you first came to us, you would eat and eat until you threw up, and then you would eat. And we found food squirreled away in your room. It was in your book bag. You were hoarding food and no child does that when they know where their next meal is coming from.
Yeah.
I unknowingly, and my body had blocked it out, I was reminding myself of starvation.
That is crazy how the mind works.
Right.
How you forget that.
So, wonderful book, The Body Keeps the Score. it's wonderful. If you're working with children at all, even if you don't know if any of them have a traumatic background, there's a good chance that a lot of the kids in church ministry, any type of camp, there's a good chance that you might be dealing with a child who has a traumatic background. The body keeps a score, might explain some behaviors in children that you just don't understand, or even in yourself. So I went to therapy. I had some great tools. One of them is don't get hungry. I'm not allowed to get hungry. Most people can eat in a calorie deficit, and that's fine. I couldn't, because I do not remind myself of hunger as a child. So I keep like pistachios, nuts, beef sticks, anything that is good, healthy, clean eating. And if I'm not full from my salad, I'm gonna eat another salad. I'm gonna eat another steak. Like my body wants me to stay full until that part of my brain heals. And I don't know if that's gonna happen on this side of heaven, but until then, I'm gonna eat when I'm hungry and not ignore my cues. And another big part of it was I can have whatever I want. I'm not going to say, oh, you can't have that. The thing is, I have to meet all of my protein, fiber, and nutrition goals first. Then I can have that frosted coffee. Then I can have, and what's funny is most of the time you don't want it because you're full.
By the time you eat it, yeah.
You're satisfied. So clean, good, healthy food that the good Lord made is satisfying. So it was life-changing. I lost 80 pounds. It took about a year, but I think my weight loss journey was actually more like 5 years because of how many times I tried and failed. And that boy, did that humble me. That was very humbling. I was born with the how hard can it be gene, and there's not a lot that I have struggled with. I did struggle in school, but learning Chinese has made me a little bit haughty, I guess you could say, because it was such a big success, but that brought me to my knees. It keeps me humble. Like Gideon's army. You know how God had to make Gideon's army smaller and smaller? So he's taken some of my powers away so that everybody knows this was the Lord. There's nothing I've done that was in my own strength. My army is not strong enough. It's all been Him.
Well, that's pretty good. Well, good for you losing that weight, and that's great. And something else you said made me think about, I used to talk about like a binge eating disorder, but I've thought about this. Like one of the sins that you don't really hear people talk about a whole lot is gluttony.
Yeah.
You see these ginormous pastors.
Yes.
And it's like, well, wait a minute. I mean, I get everyone has sins and struggles, but you're supposed to be, your body's a temple, and especially as a pastor, you're supposed to be above reproach, and you can be 400 or 500 pounds, and you're sweating or out of breath through a sermon, or even just in myself, I've noticed like I'm not eating because I'm hungry, or I'm just eating because I like it, and I'm like, wait a minute, that is wrong. And that's something you just don't hear people talk about.
It's a little taboo because we're in this age of body positivity. And I think, and I've spoken about this before on my own like personal social media, but whenever we as a society notice a problem, we can never simply correct it. We love to overcorrect. And so we've gone from, oh, hello.
There's a yellow jacket.
We've gone from
not being able to correct a problem.
Right. Well, there's anorexia, and then on the other end of that spectrum, you've got morbid obesity. And instead of just addressing these food-related problems, we have overcorrected it and said, you know what? Every body is beautiful, and you're fine just the way you are, but it is like high-fiving people on the way to the grave, because anorexia will kill you. Obesity will kill you. And there's a number of I guess comorbidities that go with those eating disorders. Like I have ulcerative colitis, and eating too big of a meal puts me in just agony. My body cannot digest too much food at one time. And yet I could not stop. I was literally killing myself. My colon is full of scars and ulcers because of what I did to myself. But we are so body positive that there's only 2 people that ever brought up my obesity when I was over 200 pounds. And a lot of people are like, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful. Well, beauty is not necessarily related to our weight. I do think
or health.
Yes, or our health, right? Why the need to bring up your beauty when we're talking about, like, if somebody's smoking a cigarette, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say something. Those will kill you. Those will kill you. That little.
100% of non-smokers die too.
This is true. They always love to say that. But they're just going to die.
That's what they do.
They're just going to die a more agonizing death. And they're going to make their loved ones suffer for it. So I think the body positivity effort, it was here because people were being overly rude to people that are heavy. And I think that heavy people are treated very poorly. But the correct reaction to that, to the people that you love and the community that you live in, isn't just to say, oh, okay, we don't do that for anything else. You know, like if somebody is drinking and driving, we're not going to be positive about
everybody's
that.
different, that's okay.
You're right, you do you. No. If somebody's hurting themselves, whether it's, overeating or undereating, there's a way to speak into that. And I appreciate the two people that I took it very poorly when they said it to me. But what they said never left my mind. I loved feeling like a victim at the time, like, oh, they hate me.
That's also another thing that's present
in
America.
Oh, yeah. Oh, too many victims. Too many victims. I was very powerful as a child, as a victim, and it made me get away with all kinds of stuff.
Because you can kind of get attention that way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look at how bad my life was.
Or I didn't do my homework because I was just remembering this time I was in foster care. That was not why I didn't finish my homework, and I got away with murder in school. And so I could go on. I could do a whole other podcast about stop being a victim. I mean, and I'm talking to myself.
Well, maybe we can. Maybe I'll come visit y'all one time.
Oh my gosh, please come. There's actually a ton of tourism in northern Iraq. I think I'd like to operate a business with tourism somehow. I don't know what that would look like. Have a little Airbnb.
Yeah.
A little, I don't know if they have camels there, but like camels or a little donkey ride.
They did in Jordan when I was there.
That's my first.
You'll love it. I've never been to northern Iraq or
But you've been to
Kurdistan.
Jordan?
I've been to Jordan.
Did you go to Petra?
Yeah, I went to Petra.
Did you ride camels to get there?
No, but I was with a friend of mine.
Do it.
And like we knew the guy was going to charge us to take a photo. And I was like, dude, we're only going to be here once. I'm like, we have to.
Yes.
So we got up there for the photo, and it's like, it almost looks fake, but it's perfect.
That's so
we
cool.
went to Wadi Rum, is where like Star Wars and Dune, a lot of movies were filmed.
That is so cool.
We went up to the mountains, Ajloon, I think. There's a couple other cities in the Bible, and we were with a friend. He was almost like our own tour guide. He's like, yeah, this was, blah, 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 or this was this. We went to Mount Nebo, where Moses died. We went to see where Jesus was baptized, the Jordan River. Went to the Dead Sea, all these places. It was so cool.
That is so cool.
And the food is so good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And everyone's nice. Like, I'd go up to them, I'm like, what do y'all think of America? I want to know what they think.
I would pay good money for you to be a traveling podcaster. Like, I would subscribe $30 a month right now.
I would love to do
You
that.
got to do it. I think you'd be great at it. I wish we could go back to when we were in London together.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
You were just so good at starting conversations. One guy was just rolling up his cigarette on the was it
Well,
the train?
I know people do it, but I've never seen someone roll their own cigarette.
And he was like, that's cool, man.
I knew people
Start a conversation.
rolled blunts, but not their own cigarettes.
He's from
like
Gastonia, y'all.
Yeah,
but you're good at conversations and just talking up strangers. I love that about you. So I think that might be.
That's kind of when I started this, because I was listening to Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn and Tim Dillon, and I was like, man, I listen to them, spend hours. I'm like, they're just talking to people, or sometimes doing it by themselves.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if I just started my own? So
do it.
that's why I started. But
there was this whole campaign, I'm sure you saw it on TikTok, where it was stop giving men microphones because of all the podcasts, but this guy deserves a microphone.
Yeah.
You can have the podcast.
well, I was like, they're either going to listen or they're not, so I'll just start it.
Oh yeah, I think it's fascinating.
But while you're there, you're going to keep up on YouTube and stuff, right?
Yes. So we had a YouTube channel here on our farm, and it was Cabin Creek Homestead, and we kind of documented trying to become like first generation farmers out here with all the horses that we rescued.
You don't want to eat Bill Gates' lab-grown meat?
Not right now. I'm just going to pass. I'm not sure the A1 sauce is going to cover the taste of some lab-grown meat. But we're going to convert it into a travel channel now. So we've changed the name from Cabin Creek Homestead into Hands in the Sand.
Hands in the Sand
Hands in the
on
Sand.
YouTube, right?
Yeah. We'll be on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. Somebody asked me to start a Substack.
What's a Substack?
It's like a kind of like a blog,
like a newsletter
maybe
thing?
like Reddit almost.
Oh gosh.
Not exactly like Reddit. I haven't explored Substack, but I'm gonna start with WordPress and do a little blog. I had a blog while we were in China, and at the time I felt like this is so dumb, but now it's like my journal. I go back and read some of those, and I'm like, I
don't even remember doing that.
Happened. Oh, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad I've taken a million videos of my kids out here on this farm, watching them grow up with horses, because I look back and I'm like, they were babies. They were babies on that giant draft horse. Like, oh. So if nobody else watches it, it'll at least be my own little video diary of moving overseas again and seeing everything unfold. I just can't wait. It's what are we, like 6 days away now? 5 days away?
Y'all leave? Don't you leave on the 5th?
Yeah.
Today's the 31st. Yeah,
I don't have a lot of time.
I'm thankful you did it with me, like 5 days before you leave across the world.
Yep. I think we're almost done packing. I just gotta cut the grass and throw some more stuff away.
Yeah. Well, make sure to watch her on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. She'll help portray the Middle East as better than Fox News will, and maybe we can learn something for us. Appreciate you coming on and
Thank
doing
you
it
for
with
having
me.
me. It's an honor.